Good evening, online students. Is it audible? Please let me know. Good evening, Frija. Okay. Okay, thank you, Sohani Biswas. Let's get started. So, in the previous class, we were discussing unification of Germany, and try to understand here. This is like a Germany, and there are so many states. There are so many states, and one big state is Prussia. And here you have Austria, Hungary Empire. Okay, and very interestingly, Austria Hungary had lot of influence on southern states, lot of influence on southern states. So, whenever there was a parliament like a Frankfurt parliament, German chancellor was the head of, Austrian chancellor was the head of German states. In that meeting, in that parliament. Parliament was not attended by representatives of the people, but the dukes. They are like small kings of each states. There are total 39 states. 39 states. They were all German speaking states, but they were independent countries. Prussia was the biggest one and most influential one. So, now the point is, when Austria-Hungary people were having a lot of influence on German states, it was very difficult for Prussia king or first and prime minister. As I already told you, all liberals, they became very powerful ones. They met in Frankfurt parliament, they just gave the power. But the only thing is, they wrote constitution and then they told, you be the king but follow the constitution, just like a constitutional monarchy. But these people, any king, any clergy, powerful people, they are all in favor of conservatism. They wanted absolute power, no question of constitution. Even Bismarck is also not a pro-democratic person. When there was a chance to unify Germany without any war, without any fight, he was interested in unifying Germany with blood and iron, with weapons, iron weapons, okay, and blood is fighting everything. That is the kind of mentality he had. So, that is why, and moreover, Bismarck was more interested in expanding Prussia and its influence over German states instead of unification of Germany. This is a very much a grey area about Otto von Bismarck, but he has been hailed as one of the greatest politician, strategist. People call him a real politico. That means he is practical. It does not see whether it is moral or immoral, whether it is practical or not. So, he used to have he used to give a lot of promises, he used to have a lot of treaties with other countries, but he never deliver on promises. So, he always flip-flops. That is the reason. you don't expect anything kind of morality or honesty from him, but he has been hailed. The reason is immediately after unification of Germany, Germany started this what is industrial revolution. They have taken it from Great Britain. Germany was it developed like anything. It has become such a great power. So that's how it was able to wage wars, World War I, World War II. That was the reason there was a lot of development. But he believed development of Prussia, Germany, everything. It should happen just like authoritative government. He did not believe in democracy, liberalism, all that. Okay, that's why they use this word realpolitik. Okay, practical, and he wants realism. To be honest, what realpolitico means, whatever is in this context is like opportunist. He wanted to use countries. That is his politics. So, road towards achieving German unity was paved with great difficulties. Main obstacle was the attitude of Prince Metternich. He is very popular. Okay, he is the one who convened the Vienna Congress. Vienna Congress 1815, when Napoleon was defeated in 1815, Waterloo War. Okay, that Prab countries, Prussia, Russia, then Austria, then Britain, all these countries, they had a meeting in Vienna. Okay, Vienna is the Austrian capital. If you cannot remember, Austrian capital has been voted as the best city in the world to live. Of late, 1 year ago, it has been voted as the best city to live in the world. Not American cities or any other cities, capital of Vienna. There are so many parameters like health, education, livability, infrastructure, everything. So, if you take those parameters, that was the first country, best country to live in. So, there all these Vienna kings in that meeting, Vienna Congress, were pro-conservatives. That means, again remember, conservatism means following status quo. The society was divided into aristocrats, nobles, and then clergy people, like that, all privileged classes. These privileged classes, they always wanted privilege, power, influence. They don't want to change that status. So, they wanted status quo, and most of them are very powerful people, conservatives. So, as I told you in the previous class, very important thing of Vienna Congress is to restore all the dynasties which were dispossessed by Napoleon. Give France to whom? Bourbon dynasty. Austria is Metternich, Habsburg Empire. Like that, they were given, all the dynasties were given power, because they supported royal families. So, now the point is, as I told you, Austria-Hungary, Habsburg Empire had lot of influence on southern states. You may call it, they have more allegiance towards Austria-Hungary than towards Prussia. That was the problem. So, it is a very tricky situation. Whereas Cavour directed Italian unification, a junker, actually the word junker is used for aristocratic landowners. He was like a big farmer with huge tracts of land, farming land. They were known as junkers. So, Bismarck came from a junker. So, what is that? He is also aristocrat. He is also a conservative. So, what does he believe in? No democracy, no liberalism, nothing. They wanted absolute power. But the funny thing is, whether it's Cavour or Bismarck, they work very hard and unify the whole country, and then they give this power to king. There Victor Emmanuel II, here William. Okay, King William was given power. So he was only prime minister, but of course they had that all the limelight, they were active, they were doing everything else, but the throne was given to William. Screen is blur, please view in full screen. Okay, screen is blur, what happened? Can you tell her? They are saying, huh? Yep. Now let me know, is it good? Is it still blur? Frija, let me know. They are asking to fix the resolution. Can you call her? They are saying screen is blur, asking us to fix the resolution, slightly blur. Yeah, we are working on that. 1 minute, please. Is it okay? So, what was the role of Napoleon in unification of Germany? Okay, I will be continuing. Full screen they are saying somewhat better, but they are asking to resolve. Yeah, I too see a little bit blur. Okay. Just like Italian unification, Napoleon played his part in the unification of Germany also. Kritika, good evening. Okay. Okay. So, as usual, Napoleon played his role. We all know that it was not intentional, as he wanted to expand his territories. Same case of Italy, he did the same thing for Germany. So, it became easy for German speaking states. They started feeling that, okay, we feel like a country now. That feeling of nationalism, patriotism aroused. Okay, German, Italian states were liberated from Pope and religion. They were liberated. And then in 1815, when Austria got the charge of German states, there were approximately 38 German states. Normally 39 were the German states. At that time it was 38. Austria created German Diet, it is like parliament to handle the states. Prussia introduced a Zollverein, it is very important. A Zollverein is a customs union. Customs union to remove the trade barriers. Trade barriers. What are the trade barriers? You see, even whatever Napoleon did, I mean here Zollverein was also doing same thing. It is simplifying the business, trade and business. At that time, in each area, for example, if you have 1 kg here, 1 kg is not equal to 1 kg in other state. Okay, in other state 1 kg was more, 1 kg was less. They had a different measurement. So at that time, the movement of goods, particularly when you want to, transport goods one country to other countries, you have to pay customs tax, just like now. Everything was paid according to weight. When each country has its own weights and measurement systems, it is very difficult how much they have to pay. It was total confusion everywhere. So, and one more thing is all trading barriers were removed. They made it very simplified. So, they call it actually the kind of economic unification. Germany was unified in terms of economy with this Zollverein. Whatever we are discussing is political unification. Here it is unified economically from trade point of view also, trade and business point of view. So it is a customs union to strengthen the ground of German unification, customs union of German states to remove the trade barriers. Then this gave German people the confidence that political integration will lead to economic empowerment of German states. So if political unification happens, that will be really good for them. They felt like that. German states had far more political economic unity. In this scenario, revolution of 1830, 1848 proved very crucial for German unification. Slide. What? Okay. So, what was the role of Bismarck in the unification of Germany? In 1862, Bismarck recognized that the Prussian army improved training in preparation of a war. So you can see lot of similarities in Italian unification as well as German unification. Before going to wars, they are strengthening the economy, strengthening the military, and then they can wage wars. That's the same thing happened here. He construed alliance with Austria to fight Denmark over Denmark's southern provinces. See, there are some provinces, Schleswig and Holstein. See, what we discussed in the beginning, background information, the biggest problem of our German unification was Austria. But what did he do here? He joined hands with Austria. So, to fight Denmark. So, try to understand three countries, Denmark, Austria, and then France. These are the three countries he had to fight, three countries over 7 years of time. That is German unification is all about. But very interestingly, Austria was the biggest hurdle, but he took the help of Austria to fight Denmark. The same thing what Count Cavour was doing in Italian unification. With Austria out of Bismarck's way, his next obstacle was skepticism of southern provinces. I already told you that provinces below, southern provinces were more close to Austria than Prussia. So that was his task now. Overwhelmingly Catholic and anti-militaristic southern provinces doubted Prussia's commitment to united Germany of all provinces. So what is this? Catholic, anti-militaristic. You see, they are very close to Pope, and we have Catholics and Protestants. But Pope always follows Catholicism. So most of the countries around Pope are following Catholicism. So they felt overwhelmingly Catholic and anti-militaristic southern provinces. Southern provinces, they don't like wars, and then actually they were Catholic. They doubted Prussia's commitment to united Germany. Prussia's Protestantism and historic militarism, that means Prussia was following, they were following Protestantism. So we have these two branches in Christianity, Catholics and Protestantism, made the gulf between north and south quite serious. The same thing happening in all countries. Same thing we will be discussing America's Civil War also. Northern state, southern state, they are always opposite. In the same way, Germany northern state and southern states are not united. Then, therefore, Bismarck turned to realpolitik to unite German provinces by constructing a war against a common enemy. The second episode, Bismarck's unification efforts, occurred in 1866. In concert with the newly formed Italy, Bismarck created diplomatic environment, which Austria declared war on Prussia. You understand? So, to wage a war, he needs some reasons. Bismarck needs some reasons. So, he joined hands with the Italy people. We discussed that in the previous class. He was waging war on actually Italian people had something against Austria people. So, Italy and Germany joined hands, then that enraged Austria. Austria declared war on Prussia. In order to get the German states to unify, Bismarck needed a single outside enemy. You see, if there is no enemy, these states won't unite. For that, he wanted one outside enemy that would declare war on one of the German states first, thus providing, casus belli means that's not English word, he needs some kind of a cause to rally all Germans behind. So, the opportunity arose with the outbreak of France-Prussian war. So, he got that chance. France declared war on Prussia, and then he united all the German states. He united all the German states. In 1870, Bismarck forged a note from the French ambassador. See, this is what real politico means. France ambassador came to Bismarck. Bismarck actually he gave some kind of a message what Bismarck did is, he forged that note. Whatever he said, he forged that note, and he made it published in newspapers also. Forged means he changed that notes, and then he made it like a France ambassador humiliating, insulting Bismarck, so that all German states would feel infuriated and they tried to attack him. So, this is what happened. Then you can see that what is that? He leaked that letter. He forged that and then leaked that letter to all populations, and then people of France, Prussia, roused nationalist sentiment, rose up in favor of a war. Bismarck hoped the southern provinces rallied to Prussia's aid without any hesitation. In 1870, France declared war on Prussia. Then within a matter of weeks of fighting, so Alsace-Lorraine, France lost Franco-Prussia war. So, we discussed Denmark war was over, now France war also over. Then as I told you, blood and iron. Later some people told that blood and iron became coal and iron also. That means those industries were very important. Bismarck expressed the essence of real politico in his famous blood and iron speech to budget committee of a Prussian chamber. Okay. So, even in budget also, it is not discussed here, he was not a democratic guy, just like upper house, lower house, to pass a budget, you have to pass it both in upper and lower houses, same like India in Germany. But without lower house is more powerful everywhere. So, without the consent, support of lower house, he made it pass that budget. That means it is very undemocratic. He was okay, he wanted to pass the budget, he did that. He was not interested in whether it is a democracy or a autocracy. And then his emphasis on blood and iron did not imply simply the unrivaled military might of the Prussian army, but rather two important aspects: the ability of the assorted German states to produce iron. The other related war material is willingness to use those war materials if necessary. We all know that I just discussed it already, that German was very good at this iron factories. So, that iron really helped to manufacture weapons and everything. That is one more point. By 1862, when Bismarck made his speech, idea of German nation state, the peaceful spirit of a pan-Germanism had shifted from liberal democratic character to Bismarck's conservative realpolitik. I already told you, he is a junker by birth, an aristocratic, okay, who owned huge tracts of land. So, he supports conservative ideology. He never believes in liberalism, democracy, all this stuff. Problems faced issues after unification of Germany. So, you have to see 1871 is the unification, same as Italy unification. Problem faced. Germany had quite a few serious issues to resolve once unification took place. You all know you can unify all the states, but there will be some sort of feeling that all the states, they feel like There are two different views when all the states, for example, now you take India and America. In India, central has got more powers over states. America also federalism, but America doesn't have that sort of powers over states. So, our federalism is a little bit more strong than America's federalism. So, same here Germany, although all the states were unified, it takes some time for those states to really unify themselves and become to feel like one country. It takes time. So, that was the problem. Then local provinces refused to give substantial power to central government. Berlin Assembly was kept weak. Germany, like United States and the Articles of Confederation, seemed merely a loose confederation of autonomous states. So, autonomous states had got more autonomy than they felt part of federation. So, the point is that fine balance of power between central and states is very important. So, sometimes states take that power, they try to dominate center, sometimes central dominates states. It is a very difficult thing. Even in India now, we can see that states criticizing center, center criticizing states. So, we have union subjects, state subjects, they all have to operate within their jurisdiction, they could not step out of that. So, here states, particularly when they are part of Germany, they used to say that we are autonomous, they are not interested to give more powers to central. These are the problems. Germany's case, one state, Prussia was absolutely dominant due to its size, power and military strength. We all know that is one of the biggest states and more influential states. This combined with Bismarck's skillful conduct in international national affairs as chancellor kept the empire together. Now, Bismarck has become chancellor of Germany. He was prime minister earlier. However, the creation of unified Germany in Central Europe marked one of the greatest revolutions. It was greatest revolutions in the history of international relations. So, you can say that this is one of the foundations, laying foundations for very strong Germany, which world does not know, because Germany was more responsible for World War I and II. See, when you become powerful, he himself told Bismarck, so enough is enough, we got 39 states, now we do not want any sort of territorial expansion and all the neighbors can feel very peaceful now, we do not want any territorial expansion. But what he did is, you never believe Bismarck, he says one thing, the very next time he does something else. What he did is, he started colonialism, because everybody is jealous of Great Britain. See, Great Britain has got so many colonial countries. Let us go to Africa, Asia, colonize some countries. So, loot all the natural resources, raw material. Like that he started a colonialism. So, what happened? The race for colonialism has led to World War I. That is one of the reasons, apart from Balkan tensions. Balkans countries who broke away from Ottoman Empire were very jealous of each other, fierce competition, and these great powers like Germany, France, Great Britain, Russia, they always wanted to use Balkan countries as their satellite states or banana countries, whatever they say they have to listen. That was one reason, Balkan tension, and this colonial race is one more reason. So, what was the reason? See, if Britain was the only superpower at that time, it was a global power at that time. everybody would have been quiet. But when you have two to three more global powers, what happens? See, America also became a global power, but they were not interested. If you see throughout World War I and II, particularly World War II, they were supplying arms. When these people are fighting, they were making money. That is true capitalism. They want money, they want economic strength. They did not worry about anything. Until they were bombed Pearl Harbor, they did not enter. So, they were true capitalists. But these people, they always are fighting. Okay. So, these are all the reasons. Every incident has some connection to other. Okay. Now, great Germany actually joined hands with Austria. Now, we see Germany and Austria are very much rivals, but they joined hands in World War I. In World War II, Germany occupied Austria. Nobody said anything. It was such a peaceful okay, he occupied very peacefully. This is what happened. So, throughout Europe, this in war theater, you never know who is your friend, you never know who is their foe. Everything emerges because of a necessity. They have their agendas, each country, and they were following that. Okay. What was the immediate result of Franco-Prussian War? See, the direct outcome of Franco-Prussian War was unification of Germany. Okay? Then Germany became the mistress of Europe. They became mistress of Europe, and Bismarck became master of Germany. Okay. In the wake of unification of Germany, unification of Italy was also achieved at the same time. I told you both happened in 1971. The final act of Franco-Prussian War or episode ended with Bismarck crowning the Prussian king William the Emperor of Germany 1871. The birth of German Empire led to new era in the history of modern Europe. Okay. So, next topic is American Civil War. So, we have seen American Revolution. Now, after Revolution, we have Civil War. The same even in this topic, northern and southern states, they have that problem. For example, I do not know whether you are able to see it here, but let me discuss. These are the 13 colonies. 13 colonies America colonized. So, is it not, I know it is not visible, it is blurry, try to understand, we do not need more than 5 minutes here. So, try to understand, this is east side, this is southern These are southern states, these are northern states. So, we all know this is the part colonized by Great Britain, and now they started expanding westwards, and then almost America is 50 states. Now, at this time of civil war, we can see 48 states. If you see their flag, you see 50 stars. Each star represents one state. So, now the point is, these northern states were very developed. You have so many cotton mills, and industry was developed. And whoever comes to America from Europe and other countries, they used to come to northern states. So, all immigrants were used to migrate to here, northern states. And the most contentious issue here is northern states were very progressive. They were against slavery. They don't like slavery. But whoever came and worked, they worked as workers, but not slaves. But here, if you see cotton, tobacco, here you have more industries, but here it is more agriculture, agrarian based. Cotton, tobacco, all these industries were, fields were there, agriculture fields. Now, the point is, slavery is not just followed, it is a way of life for them. That means it is an institution. Slavery was one institution. For example, if a slave runs away from you, if somebody helps that slave, the people who help slave can be jailed. Helping a slave, runaway slave, is a crime. So, practicing slavery is not crime. That is part, they felt that is the root, that is the backbone of their agricultural development and everything. So, that they want slavery. They thought without slavery, all their agriculture, everything will be destroyed. So, they wanted slavery. This is the biggest contentious issue between, and the south people always felt that northern states are always encouraging slaves to revolt, and this has led to bloodiest civil war, which has taken more than 6 lakh people. 6 lakhs at that time in America was not a few number, it is a very huge number. The reason is, America population is less, country may be big, and at that time it was when British people came to India, India was like 30 crore people. So, from those numbers, 6 lakh was a very huge number, and we can say America was on the brink of disintegration, like northern states one country, southern states the other country. And there comes a hero, Abraham Lincoln. You see, the problem is, white people never support abolition of slavery. So, Lincoln being white, you see, we have Joe Biden as well as Trump. Trump always supports white people. He did not get votes from black people, whereas Joe Biden had a full support of black people and considerable reasonable support from white people also, both the communities. So, he got more votes. But here Abraham Lincoln's greatness is, No, most of the white people do not support abolition of slavery, but he did that. We all know slavery is the inhuman practice. We have a caste system in India, they have this racial discrimination in their countries. So, every country has their own inhuman practice to divide the people on different ways. So, it was a blot on American society, and Abraham Lincoln was the president who lost his lives for the cause. He was assassinated by a person named Booth. He has assassinated him. He was in one of the conference hall or something, theater, and there one person comes and he fires a single bullet here, just a single bullet. That means he did this from very close proximity, or otherwise you may not have that kind of confidence to kill the person with single bullet. So, he came close along with his wife, he was watching something, and then he comes close, just fires a single bullet. So, he was assassinated, and for the cause of this abolition of slavery. And all these southern states were criticizing him severely, as if he has taken livelihood out of them for them. So, when something is deeply rooted in the society, people do not understand how evil it is. We all know, we have not seen slavery, we feel it is a pathetic, painful thing. But when something is ingrained in the society, for example, in our society, some people follow dowry system. If you ask that, they say, what is wrong with the dowry? Some people, the same like slavery, if you go to ask southern people, they say, what is wrong with the slavery? We have bought them, they are like a commodity, they are bought in like vegetables in market. I mean, based on their strength, age, they are bought in the market, and they have to work for their master throughout their life. So, if you want to learn more like that Mark Twain of America wrote a novel called Huckleberry Finn, there you can see a character named Jim. Okay. So, this is the background to this, southern states, northern states, and the bone of contention is slavery. They thought, southern states thought, northern states were inciting slaves to revolt. And when Abraham Lincoln was about to become president, they started a war. Who? Northern states. Because first time this northern state people, there is one state Carolina. Where is this Carolina? We are not able to find it here. This is where it all starts. California? Yes. Where is Carolina? South Carolina. Where is North Carolina? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not visible here. Right, Virginia, here. So, this war started here, and Richmond is the main capital for southern states. They all became a confederation. What is that? All the states became confederation. These states are like a union. Now, the fight is between union versus confederation. Union is, president was leading the war, Abraham Lincoln, and he has his army generals. But here Jefferson Davis is not the founding fathers of Jefferson is who wrote that beautiful piece of declaration, he is not the Jefferson, he is another Jefferson Davis. He is the head of this southern states. Okay. So, they started a fierce war, where 6 lakh people lost their lives. Okay. So, this is the background of this. Now, let us get into okay. How America grew and expanded post American Revolution. We all discussed American Revolution, very important topic for your exam point of view. Then US began to expand towards west and south. Okay. West and south, we have seen 13 colonies, they started expanding westwards as well as southwards. Okay. US did everything. They tried to expand their territories, and if possible they brought some lands also. I mean, I forgot to tell you, there is a state named Louisiana. Very interesting aspect is America bought it from Napoleon. You know why Napoleon was interested in selling? He wanted some money to wage wars on other countries. So, these people wanted territories. Okay. Napoleon said he sold that Louisiana state, and they bought Alaska from Russia. Okay. So, it is not within their territory, but Alaska, it is full of snow. Russians thought, we have so much land, so much snow, you buy it. So, Russia sold Alaska to them. So, America did everything to expand their territories. They bought land even from greater Napoleon also. Then during the next 7 decades, 1789 is the revolution. Okay. I mean 1783 they got freedom. It started 1789. So, they from there 1860. So, that is okay, 7 decades they started this territorial expansion. Northern territory of Louisiana under the control of French was purchased. So, Napoleon was the king at that time. He wanted to wage wars, he sold it. The native Indians were forced to move west of Mississippi River. The present state of Florida, which was under Spain control. See, Spain had its colonies, they got it from Spain. Mexico war, which resulted in defeat of Mexico, further pushed to boundaries of US towards west, and there was a treaty, Oregon Treaty. Gadsden purchase boundary disputes related to Oregon and Arizona were settled. That means Arizona, okay, Oregon, they all became states of America. By 18th century, United States grown from 13 colonies which British colonized from 13 to 48. So, now we have 50 states, all 50 states, thereby stretching from Atlantic seaboard to Pacific coast. So, you have Atlantic here, and then when you go here, the globe is like this, you have Pacific coast. So, it has become a huge country. Then American Civil War. American Civil War was between northern and southern states. One of the consequences of the westward expansion of US and westward expansion, and of course, the Civil War broke out the issues like slavery. This is main reason. More than anything, slavery was the reason. Not that western expansion may be one of the reasons, but main bone of contention is slavery. Now, condition of the slaves. So, the condition was very horrible, very horrible. Slaves were governed by the slave code, were considered property of the slave traders. I told you slavery was an institution. It was institution. Practicing slavery was not punished. Whoever helped slaves were punished. That was beautifully depicted in that Huckleberry Finn. Okay, Mark Twain's novel. Then they received severe punishments like lynching, thrashing, killing. So whoever were not listening or even for small mistakes, they were lynched, beaten heavily. That is lynching means. Fugitive Slave Act. Fugitive means if anybody run away. Okay, that is Fugitive Slave Act. Fourth, northern states to arrest the escaped slaves and hand them back to owner. So, northern states were not interested in slavery, but they were forced. If anybody goes there, that is a northern states are very free. If you go there, according to act here, they have to hand it over to them. So, that is the problem. Even in free northern states, they were supposed to hand over. That was the act, fugitive slave. Fugitive means one who runs away, one who is on the run. He is known as fugitive. Okay. Now, economic reasons which caused the war are situation in northern states. I already told you, northern states are very developed, very developed. You can see here, industrialized, prosperous. They also received lot of immigrants from Europe. All those immigrants were free. They were not slaves. They came for livelihood. They were working there. They were happy. 1200 cotton mills were there, concentrated. Cotton mills. So, India and America was all about cotton textiles and everything. All our colonial struggle also is about cotton. Textile industry helped create ancillary industries. That means the industries that were thriving on textile industry. Then there was progress in the field of education. So, they were progressive people. Progressive means very much developed. They were not narrow minded. They were not regressive. Progressive in their modern and progressive in their approach. Education flourished. Online students, any doubts? Then, cheap labor was available. These states produced prolific writers. Just I told Mark Twain, okay, Robert Frost, this sort of people. Infrastructure was good with better connectivity among villages and towns. Then, situation in southern states. I told you slavery is an institution here. It is legal. Their livelihood. These states are predominantly agriculture based. Cotton plantation owners employed slaves. At the time of Civil War, there were 4.5 million slaves. Most of them were employed in cotton and tobacco plantations. Cultivators here believed it was because of their cotton exports. North is prosperous. You know, North is prosperous. Here cotton is there, but cotton industries are not there. That is also one of the reasons why these people are jealous of. We are sending cotton, they are making profits out of it. And again, they are instigating our slaves to revolt. This is the problem. Hmm? Hmm. What happened? You are laughing. Is it okay now? Then contention about slavery. Contention, I told you, bone of contention. That means here, what is the fight about? Contention means what is the controversial thing? Bone of contention. People hated slavery in these regions as it went against their conscience. Okay, it is not a conscience, conscience. What is conscience means? What is conscience? You may call it in native language like inner heart. Okay, so that part of your brain which says which is wrong, which is right, that is conscience. South, these states believed that without slavery their economy would not prosper. Okay, slavery was not only legal but also source of their sustenance. Sustenance means a livelihood. They were strictly against abolition of slavery. Southern slaveholders started to blame North for encouraging, instigating slaves. Doctrine of state rights. That means here states have their own powers, central should not interfere in states. To keep the balance between two factions, 1820 itself, a pact was signed in the Congress known as Missouri Compromise. This is a very famous one. Missouri could practice slavery. Maine, this is another state, they will be anti-slavery. So, within the same country, some states are following slavery, some are not following slavery. There should be uniform law. It was not there. Success. After Mexico War, North vehemently opposed, spread slavery to the newly acquired areas. But South was adamant. South was always supporting slavery. Despite compromise, tensions existed between North and South arising out of fugitive slave laws. I already told you what is a fugitive, who are on the run. Okay? So, Kansas Nebraska bill was passed and this act nullified Missouri Compromise and triggered the tension. We have just discussed Missouri can practice slavery and Maine can be anti-slavery. But here another bill was brought, this passed, nullified Missouri Compromise. So, tension started. You can see this is also an important event. Kansas is one state. Okay, they brought one law, bill. It created a lot of tensions. Okay, now Missouri Compromise was successful for 37 years, but now because of Kansas bill, now it started, the tension started. Dred Scott case, actually this is one slave, a southern slave went to northern states along with his master and he came to southern states. He filed a case. He said, I went to free states, northern states, now I am free. Okay, he has his own logic. It may be a small incident, but it has triggered so much tension there. For example, see, he returned to South, petitioned to the South Supreme Court to be made free, and what Supreme Court did is, okay, it said Missouri Compromise is unconstitutional because they brought the another law. What is that? Kansas bill. So they said that law is not valid. So, Lincoln's election. Now, to be honest, as personally, he is the greatest American president, okay, America has ever produced. And he speaks very less, but the way he speaks, he was very good orator. Whoever are great leaders, they became great orators. Some are good, some are bad. You see, Hitler is not very cruel, but he was a good orator. Winston Churchill, he was a good orator. Abraham Lincoln, he was also good orator. So, and moreover, Lincoln was, Lincoln failed many times in his politics, failed many times. By the time, I don't remember exactly, in 60s, he saw some success, okay. And even there are some stories, one small girl wrote a letter to him to grow beard, okay, and he was not that appealing to the people. So, he started growing beard. We do not know how much it worked for him. It was a story, kind of a legend that a small girl wrote to him. And he tried his luck. He failed many elections, local elections, but he was successful in biggest election, president election. So, he deserves that sort of a character. He was so honest, and he took that risk. See, when you are a leader, sometimes you think about your popularity. When you are taking a good decision, you think about popularity. And when you are becoming unpopular, you back off from that decision. But Lincoln did not do that. Whole southern countries criticized him like a villain, but he did not back off. He was focused. I have to abolish slavery. This is inhuman practice. He did that despite so many criticisms. So, South believed Lincoln was an abolitionist, as if abolitionist is wrong. Abolishing slavery is good. Then, before his inauguration as the president, 7 southern states seceded from the Union. Okay? So, 7 states, they broke away. As I told you, they became Confederation of States. Lincoln said that Union is intact. Intact means no change. They may go, but Union is intact. We are going to bring them back. Intact means everything is same, no change. It became clear that if seceding states did not return to the Union, there would be war. And what was the miscalculation of South? South miscalculation was, they thought all southern states we are united. They may not be united on this issue. So, some nations, some states may be not interested in war. So, they thought that they cannot fight war unitedly, northern states. But we have to understand one thing, they are part of the Union. Whether they like it or not, they have to follow the orders of the president. So, they miscalculated that, southern states. They expected the north would be divided, but it was not so. The course of the Civil War. So, what is the course of the Civil War? The attack on Fort Sumter by the Confederate troops, okay, started Civil War. I told you that Carolina state, Fort Sumter, okay. So, this is what happened, Fort Sumter, Carolina state. And then 4 more states seceding from the Union. First 7, then later 4. Seceding means they broke away from the Union. They joined Confederate States. These 11 states which seceded from the Union formed Confederacy, appointed Jefferson. Make no mistake, he is not the founding father, he is greatest hero. Okay, Jefferson. This guy is different. He became head of a Confederate as president. On hearing about the attack of Fort Sumter, Union declared war on Confederate States. To capture capital of the Confederation, Richmond. I told you their main aim is, when you are going to a war, your first target is capital. They want to capture the capital. Then there are some important regions, Mississippi region. They wanted to prevent southern forces receiving arms and ammunition. You know, southern states have sent some envoys to Britain and France. To expect some support from them. But what happened is, this northern states military, they stopped them. They stopped the envoys. They were captured by Union. So 1861, after raising a force of 30,000 troops, the Union troops marched south. So I told you casualties were 6 lakh people. How can when 30,000? They added later, and then from both sides. So 6 lakh was correct figure. There is no doubt about it. Then stopped by the Confederate forces, were forced to retreat. So you have to understand, southern states were very brutal. The reason is, those soldiers from Union, they are fighting on behalf of the government, but southern states, they are fighting for a purpose. So you can see that sort of, they were very cruel for their purpose. So Union forces were on the back foot in the beginning. Okay, once or twice or thrice, these southern states were really dominating the forces. Later Clinton has to change the generals. It appears that one general was not that very good tactician or a strategist. Then they had to change the generals. So at last Union won the war. Battle of Gettysburg. So Lincoln gave he delivered a famous speech here, just a matter of 2 minutes. So people really loved the way he spoke. He was talking about civil war and what are the principles and founding fathers made this constitution. Okay, what they did to the country, everything he spoke in a very beautiful way. This battle was also very crucial. It proved to be turning point which changed the course of war. Grant's victories brought he is the new army head now. So when Lincoln appointed him, things changed in his favor. Brought the entire Mississippi Valley under Union control. In the meantime, Lincoln abolished slavery by his Emancipation of Proclamation. Emancipation means, what is emancipation? Emancipation is freedom. Okay. So proclamation declaring that all slaves in the Confederate States were free. So in 1865, surrender of Confederate forces ended civil war. That's the end of a civil war. Now advantages of North over South in Civil War. North had its all resources at its command like railroads. We all know that northern states were more developed in terms of infrastructure, in terms of industries, in terms of what we say economy, everything was developed. So, they had their advantage, better communication system, better weapons system, and military led by President Lincoln adapted better strategy during the course of war. Reconstruction. So, 65 to 65 Civil War ended, 65, okay, to 77. How many years? That 5 years is 7 years, okay, total 12 years. It was reconstruction. Union troops occupied the south. That means we saw even World War also. I mean, they are all suspicious. Government is suspicious that southern states again would start some sort of civil war. That is why troops were there for 17 years there. I mean 12 years, and it was like a reconstruction. After federal troops left, south white southerners passed laws. See, this is what happened. 12 years they were there. When they left, again these white southerners, they passed laws that limited African Americans' rights, made it difficult for them to vote. So, they did not have right to vote. It is very interesting. Throughout America, by the time Negroes got right to vote, it took so much time. In India, right from the beginning, we get universal adult franchise. So, that is one of the greatest achievements of India. We never had that narrow-mindedness, whether it is women or anybody. We have seen that in French Revolution, they took so much time, 1946. Okay. So, when it comes to America, they did not give right to vote for Negroes. That was the biggest problem. Then, such laws also encouraged segregation. Segregation means a separation, blacks and whites in the south. So, still there is some sort of that enmity, that animosity is there, but not as much as it was earlier. Okay. So, then let us have a discussion on Abraham Lincoln, who really deserves appreciation. Okay. As I told you, personally he lost so many elections, but he was successful, ultimately became president. Then he was the 16th president of United States during one of the most consequential periods. See, being president is one great achievement, and then ruling a country during turbulent times. If Lincoln was not decisive in his approach, firm on his decisions, United Nations would have been divided into two countries. And you know, United Nations as a country influenced so much on the whole world. If it had been two countries, the history would have been different. Okay. You see, all two world wars, maybe Germany might have captured so many countries in World War II. Okay. It is because of USA, strong USA, they won the war, Second World War. So many things would have been rewritten in the history. So that was the greatness of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln's anti-slavery platform made him extremely unpopular. We discussed it many times. He became extremely unpopular in southern states. His nomination enraged people when he was trying to become president. From there itself they opposed. Became one of the reasons. Which party president is he? In America, what parties are there? Republicans, Democrats. So he was from Republicans. Okay. Then President in 1860 enraged them, became one of the reasons for the outbreak of Civil War. With firm conviction, Lincoln declared South Carolina's succession illegal, pledged to go to war to protect the Federal Union in 1861. Okay. So you can say it was like from 1861 to 1865. That is the okay 65 Civil War. Then during the 4 years of the American Civil War, President steered the North to victory and he himself authored Emancipation Proclamation, which dealt a severe blow to the institution of slavery. Slavery has become institution at that time. Issued Emancipation Proclamation until 1863. Emancipation Proclamation, which was legally based on the President's right. What is this rule about? If anybody practices slavery, President can seize the property of those rebellion against the state. Only freed slaves in southern states, where Lincoln forces had no control. Then, nevertheless, it changed the tenor of the war, making it from northern point of view a fight both to preserve the Union and slavery. See, actually it was about slavery. At the end what happened? Country was going to be divided on that. So now he had two goals. He had to save the country from disintegration and he has to end slavery. So two became very important goals for him at that time. Lincoln was thoughtful, soft-spoken man who used words sparingly but to great effort. Okay, he was so thoughtful and he used sparingly. That means he did not use many words, very sparingly, but to great effort, great effect. His brilliance was captured in Gettysburg Address, in which movingly related to ongoing civil war, and he was talking about the principles of founding principles of America, all in less than 2 minutes. Speaking for hours together is not great, but in 2 minutes he made that message very clear. That was greatness of Lincoln. He was assassinated in 1865 itself. Okay. Removed his politically moderate influence from the national stage, giving way to more radical form of reconstruction. So that was about Lincoln. Then we had some amendments to Constitution. 13 amendment to the Constitution was very important. What is this? Declare that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, okay, except as punishment of crime. So if people give as punishment of crime, that's okay, but slavery, voluntary or involuntary, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted okay. So shall exist within the United States, any place subject to their jurisdiction. Formally abolishing slavery in United States, 13th Amendment was passed. So 13th Amendment was a formal law by this slavery was abolished and ratified by the states on 1865. Now, results of the war. What were the results? Main result is abolition of slavery and union was kept intact. Then we all know southern states faced a lot of damage because war took place there. Their agricultural fields, their infrastructure, everything was damaged. And we all know that Union troops were there up to 12 years to reconstruct. So, this reconstruction, it takes a lot of time. And then north remained largely unaffected, south was devastated, southern farms were destroyed, cotton plants became beggars. It was so serious, cotton planters. Infrastructure, railways, roads, public buildings were destroyed. Southern states' economy collapsed. Southern banks got liquidated. So, banks were also on the bankruptcy. Civil war acted as catalyst for rapid industrialization. This is very interesting thing. After every war, a country goes through rapid development. So, same thing happened, rapid industrialization. This is one of the positive consequences of any war. When a country loses any war, they have that fire in their belly, okay, we have to make this nation strong like that. So, that kind of development took place, industrialization. What are the social consequences of a civil war? Social consequences. Much bitterness and hatred towards northerners developed. Okay. So, see, this war is not going to wipe out everything. There will be some bitterness and animosity, and these southerners always had that bitterness. Both the sides suffered heavy casualties. Okay, this is what I was talking about, 6,20,000. Slavery was abolished and the president preserved and protected the union. As the slaves could not get jobs. See, this is another social problem. Lincoln came, he abolished slavery. Now, who will take care of our jobs? Okay. So, they went there and asked jobs, their masters. So, it is a very interesting situation, how they responded. Whether they were asking them to work in their plantations as workers or slavers, that is a different thing. White dominant. So, what I felt is government should have taken care of the slaves, some sort of employment. It's like NRGA program in India, some sort of program must be there. Otherwise, abolishing slavery and then those people going back to masters is not a good sign. So, as a good leader, maybe Lincoln might have done that. He was not alive to do all those things. White dominant society had to accept black as their equals in due course of time, and till Barack Obama they did not have any black president. Barack Obama was the first black president. Okay. So, it was not America was not a progressive society. The reason is, even now I think there was no women president also. All of them were men. But we see as a society, Americans are more developed and progressive. Okay, if you watch their movies, both men and women, both of them cook. That is very progressive. That progressive thing is not seen in the presidents. In India, we are not as progressive as them, but we had women prime ministers. Okay, Great Britain had women prime ministers, but to have a black president, they took so much time, and maybe if luck works, Indian Kamala Harris may become first woman president of America. The reason is Joe Biden is very old. If he can run for other election, that's okay. Otherwise, Vice President Kamala Harris will get chance. So she may create history as the first woman president, okay, with Indian origins. So many records will be broken, but we cannot hope for that because this is what happened with Rishi Sunak also in Great Britain. Everybody felt he was going to become prime minister, but in the end, Britain people did not like colonial. They came from India, so the Indians are always bragging about we are going to rule United States. Maybe they took that very seriously, so did not vote for him. So that's very astonishing. Americans did not have woman prime minister, and then for a black person to become prime minister, president, they took so much time. Then slavery was abolished, president preserved, and then in the South, the hatred towards blacks was manifested. Some organizations like Ku Klux Klan, other anti-social organizations created sense of fear in black families. Women enjoyed greater freedom, and you still remember that Floyd incident. Okay, one police person, okay, was dealing very badly. One Negro person, he just kept his knee on him, and then he just died. That incident became very, it escalated into a very big incident. So those tensions are still there in the society. Then what are political? So Lincoln had that 10% plan. That means if 10% of the citizens of the seceded states took an oath of loyalty. Loyalty means they should say that we will be members of union. Okay, loyalty. Those states could be readmitted to the union. So they readmitted with that condition. He wanted to wipe out the bitterness of the southern states to the union with this plan. Republic Party, which had made more progress on the basis of its anti-slavery campaign, remained popular. The Black Code, which perpetuated slavery, perpetuated means they continued slavery, in South had to be repealed. In the aftermath of the war, US Congress passed 13th Amendment. We have discussed this one, 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which forever abolished slavery in all parts of United States. 1868 to 1870, basic civil liberties, suffrage to former male slaves was extended. Suffrage is like votes, okay, even for male slaves were extended. So that is about civil war. I think that's the end of the topic. Okay. So now, yeah, we still have 20 minutes. Without delaying, we will go to another topic, that is Napoleon. We are going back little in the history. Napoleon. So you know, Napoleon is a title given to French king at that time, just like Caesar. Tsar, pharaohs, like that. So now, factors for the Napoleon to power. We need to go back a little to French Revolution. Some people call he is the child of French Revolution. The reason is during that French Revolution there was some political vacuum. So, can you say which period there was political vacuum? Online students, can you tell me in which period there was political vacuum during French Revolution? French Revolution took place from 1789 to 1799. Okay? So, where was that political vacuum? Online students, can you answer that question? Okay. See, we know first constitutional monarchy, or you call it a national assembly. Then after that, what happened? Republic, or you call it that is reign of terror time, republic, or you call it here parliament was known as, it is assembly, here it is, what is it here, convention, they call it a convention. After that, directories. This is here, there was political vacuum, directories. There was political vacuum in directories. That means 5 executives were there in the directories and 2 legislatives were there, 2 legislatives. After Robespierre, there was so much fear that if you give power to one person, they may create a terror like Robespierre. So, that is why they gave it to 5 executives, and they were responsible for legislatives. Legislatives had the right to remove 5 executives, that is 5 executives are known as directory, they were directories. Now, Napoleon was given chance, okay, to guard these directories. He was like a security, maybe head of the security or some. So, Napoleon came from very humble background. He was like a artillery officer, firing artillery officer, like a soldier. From those humble ranks, he rose to head of the France, okay, king of France. Napoleon is also, first he started talking about democracy, French ideals, French Revolution ideals. He looked like he was going to be very faithful to French Revolution ideals. What are they? LEF, liberty, equality, fraternity. He looked like he was going to become very faithful to these ideals. We call it ideals of a French Revolution. But when he got powers, he was not interested. We know that saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. He became a military dictator. So, you can see here, there was a common agreement that Napoleon was product of French Revolution. That is why some people call him, he was the child of French Revolution, without which he would have died as a common man. Then Napoleon's power was greatly due to the progressive events of French Revolution. These are the progressive events. Always remember this timelines, I mean events, because those terms are used with a different meaning. Okay. So, this is a constitutional monarchy, assembly was there, republic, convention was there, directory, then comes a Napoleon, after that Napoleon. Now, he exploited the opportunities provided by revolution to become emperor of France. French Revolution contributed in the following ways. You try to understand one thing, Robespierre became the king for 1 year and he created terror. He did so many good things. He abolished slavery, he empowered women. Okay? So, he was fighting for equality. One thing was, whatever it may be, Robespierre came from third estate. Very, I mean, poor background. Of course, he was from poor background. He had lot of, anger towards who? These clergies and nobilities. Clergies and nobility. Who are nobility? Nobility are nothing but rich soldiers who had huge tracts of land. Nobility. They are not only soldiers, huge tracts of lands, and these people were in high ranks, where in the military. Now, when Robespierre came to power, he removed all of them. Either he guillotined them or somehow he removed them. Now, there was no nobility in French army, no nobility. If nobility are there, what happens? They are powerful people, all the great positions are given to them. They will not let any other commoner like Napoleon to rise in their ranks. You understand? Because Napoleon has to rise from artillery officer to French king. It is not an easy thing. Somewhere these influential people would stop him. So, this is the main opportunity given by French Revolution, and you can say this opportunity is given by Robespierre. In particular, general French Revolution, in particular Robespierre, because Robespierre just he was wiping out all the first and second estate people. So, these are second estate people, nobles are all second estate people. So, that is the main thing, okay? Especially during reign of terror. So, he was artillery officer. Then it chanced to Napoleon to expose his abilities in military talents. In the Italian campaign, Egyptian campaign, although he failed in Egypt, very interestingly, he became hero in Italian campaign, but in Egyptian campaign, it became very tough for him to lead the army. You know what he did? He has fled from the army. He ran away. Still people, appreciated him, and he made one statement, okay, France needs my presence more than this Egypt. He knows that there is a very good opportunity to become something big. So, if I die in this Egypt war, I would lose that greatest opportunity to become king or something in France. So, he fled from the battle, okay, but people appreciated. He was considered hero. The government of directory was too weak, provided a power vacuum. So, I told you political vacuum, that is nothing but a power vacuum. Napoleon used it to come to power. Revolution created internal, external rivalries through which Napoleon got a chance to participate. He appointed to guard directory's government officials. I told you, he was appointed to guard directory's officials, that before that he was just like a soldier or something. Now he came directly in contact with biggest officials of directory. And against Paris mob. Paris mob was trying to attack directory officials. Then he was given that job to protect directory officials. So you must know what is directory. That was okay, one directory with 5 executives ruling the whole France. So Napoleon helped spread the revolutionary ideas, equality, liberty, fraternity, and by doing that he fulfilled the aspiration of revolutionaries. Role of nationalism. The phenomenal victories of Napoleon against enemies of France. Okay, they satisfied nationalist hunger. You try to understand one thing, what is nationalist hunger? It is nothing but nationalism. So, make no mistake, after French Revolution, liberalism, nationalism started. This has become liberal nationalism. Liberal nationalism. This liberal nationalism was fighting conservatism. All conservatives are like clergies, aristocrats, nobles, all of them. They wanted privileges. So this is the fight. Because of this liberal nationalism, many countries broke away from the dynasties. They became nation states. Great example was Ottoman Empire. 14 countries, okay, they became nation states. Only Turkey remained. Turkey became separate country. Okay, even great Greek was part of Ottoman Empire. They became separate country. And Italy unification, German unification are the 2 examples. They were also affected by that Frankfurt Parliament, where liberals gave, okay, all liberals gave power to William. So they became very powerful liberals. So all over Europe, liberal nationalism posed a threat to dynasties. That was the point. So all the nationalism was there in France during Napoleon. Napoleon's victories, you see, sometimes people are, very gullible. The reason is, you are living in one country, like take France. What French people needed is a peaceful life, good standards of life. That is what they required. But instead of that, if Napoleon went and defeated one country, they felt as if they defeated. So that is a false nationalism. Why do you require bloodshed? You need your life to be better one. But these people were happy. They never was thinking about Napoleon was going to become dictator. They said, our Napoleon is defeating the whole world. We are very happy. We are proud like that. Then when he became too big, he said, all of you shut up, listen to me. This is not democracy. This is what he started. So until he gets power, he just sings the song of democracy. Later, this is autocracy or a dictatorship. He is a military dictator. His job was to expand the territories, okay, strengthen the army. It's the only thing. He started so many schools, but his aim was to just for a military, to educate the people for military purpose and bureaucracy purpose. So, common Frenchmen, following these victories, masses became blind followers of Napoleon. They became blind followers. His education background, Napoleon's rise to power can be attributed to his education. He was educated at the military academy. Maybe it's like a Sainik school, military academy, Briand. Later in France, Paris in France. This exposed him to the writings of political philosophers in history, widened his reasoning capacity. Lot of people praise him. He was like a military genius. The way he makes those strategies in wars. He was military genius. But the problem is very ambitious. Well, just like Alexander, he was too ambitious. And particularly his war in Russia was the foolish thing. As I told you, in World War, Germany started Operation Barbarossa. Even at that time, soldiers were not able to face the extreme cold conditions. In modern times, you have a lot of equipment, cloth, everything. But during Napoleon time, to face the cold, extreme cold, that is the biggest problem with Russia. So, he knew that problem, but still he went there. Very interestingly, he almost all defeated a Russian king. But what happened is, Russian king left that palace. He left that palace. He did not come to that. He was waiting there for so many days. Winter started. Winter was severe. He thought that Russia king is going to send some kind of peace treaty or something. He was waiting there. Then at last, they were preparing for war. You know, when they were going back to France, on the way, they were trying to attack them in different areas. And in one of the places, a lot of soldiers died due to extreme cold. So, he lost so many of his soldiers. That was a bitter experience in his life. So, these are all the, decisions. He knew he was wise enough, but his wisdom was blurred by his ambition to power. His ambition to power was more than his wisdom. That was his downfall. Then, it was from school that he developed his skills as an orator, ability to convince people. You see, whoever greatest leaders, they were greater orators. Because you have to manipulate the minds of the people. Okay, you may have your own problem, but as a king I have to say, that is the glory. If you win that kingdom, we will be superpowers. What will he get as a soldier? But you have to excite him for the war. Nobody is excited about a war. Only inexperienced soldiers get excited. But these people manipulate their minds just like Hitler. So, everybody needs luck. Everybody needs a luck. Napoleon had its luck in abundance. He had lot of luck. So, first thing is his birth itself was that means where he was born, it was not French territory. But just before his birth, France has occupied that island, that is Corsica. Corsica island was annexed by France a year before his birth. So, making him a French citizen by birth. Napoleon was lucky that his father fluked a scholarship to study in military school. He should have that scholarship. He got that by luck. Normally, he was only admissions were given for nobles. Children of nobles were given administration. His father did something, by luck he got admission there. So, that is how he got to know everything about military strategies. Okay. He became good military strategist. Okay. What happened to live people? Even when I am asking question, they are not responding. Is it everything okay with online students? Are you able to hear me? Is it audible? Please respond. I hope everything is okay. Then these are the times were reserved for the children of nobles. His luck made him escape from Egypt. If he had not escaped from Egypt, he would have been one of the soldiers died there. So, French Revolution took place, swept away all senior military officers. We already had discussion on that. Okay? He became artillery officer. He was lucky that the directory government was weak. People had lost trust in them. So, directory was too weak and also people did not have trust. The weakness of directory government. Directory government was the last government within the revolutionary period. Its weakness and unpopular ties paved way for Napoleon's rise to power. Directory government had failed to provide government of authority to lead France at home. Napoleon seemed to offer a solution. He was like a solution at that time. Okay, then contribution of Napoleon. Napoleon spread the ideals of a French Revolution, liberty, equality, fraternity. Although defeated militarily, the reforms Napoleon spread over really went away. Never really went away. Feudalism left Europe. Absolute monarchism became relic of the past. I don't agree with this. Okay, he may not be monarch. Monarch is different, dictator is different. Monarch, he comes as hereditary. Of course, he may not be a monarch, but he was as authoritarian as a monarch. But Napoleon did some good things. Feudalism was abolished. Okay, but he did not abolish slavery. Robespierre abolished slavery. Napoleon brought it back. So, he was regressive some of the practices and decisions. He was progressive in some of. Napoleon was known as a very good administrator. Very good administrator. And he was a pro-businessman. Okay. Most of his decisions actually worked as a catalyst for business at that time. Okay, there were so many currencies. Okay, so much. He is the one who made these weights and measurements. He uniformed weights and measurements. There are so many weights and measurements, different weights. So, for the sake of uniformity, he uniformed weights and measurements, abolished feudalism. Main thing is he brought law to protect property. Okay. So, that was another reason, and everybody was very happy in the beginning. So, people in other countries, he occupied many other countries, he was happy. So, they thought he is doing very well and he is a pro-business person and pro people they thought. So, that is why I already told you most of the time 3 terms, like they thought he was a liberator. He himself called a modernization of Europe, but he ended up as military dictator. That was the bitter truth. Then, and another contribution of Napoleon is that he made this legal system, streamlined this legal system during directory times or even Robespierre times. Okay, constitutional monarchy. At that time, legal system was not clear. Okay, so the quantum of punishment. Which context? What is the crime? What is the quantum of punishment? Like that, legal system was not clear. Whatever they say, they just like Robespierre, he made a crime. Okay, just for the sake of formality, some court trials are taking place. The result is take him to guillotine, kill him. For everything, killing. So, particular legal system was not there. He codified that, streamlined that. First time in history of France, there was law based on logic, and also people hailed him, appreciated him as somebody who gave importance to merit rather than privilege. France was all about the privileges for different estate people, but this guy, what he did is, merit was priority, particularly in military appointments, bureaucracy appointments. Everywhere merit was taken to consideration. But at the same time, I remember one thing, he was actually promoting nepotism. Wherever he goes, he defeats one dynasty and he keeps one of his relatives as the head of that. So, then this is exactly opposite. Where is the merit? You are giving opportunity to your relatives. People say it is one of the reasons of his downfall. He kept his relatives. He dispersed so many dynasties and kept his relatives, and that relatives did not live up to the expectations. They failed him. One of the reasons. He was too ambitious. That is one of the reasons. Like that, many reasons are there. So, my point is, when you talk about, he always gave importance to merit instead of privilege. Why he gave importance to relatives? It is a kind of a nepotism. A king can do anything, there is no logic, but it did not even work for him. If those relatives are competent and relatives are competent, you can keep, it will be good for him. But at the end, it did not prove useful for him. It one of the causes for his downfall. Then laws, there were a lot of chaos. Chaos means confusion. Laws were not codified based on Roman law. They were all based on Roman law. Ancient custom, monarchical paternalism. During the revolution, many laws were changed. It was difficult to determine what law applied in a given situation. Okay, see, people were killed many times. At least they should know why they were killed, what is the law. Now we say Indian Penal Code section something. So they were not discussing anything. Just this is the law, give him that punishment. So it was very horrible, very horrible. The mishmash of laws was codified, written clearly so that people could determine what law applied. It incorporated much of the Roman law. So Roman law was the basis for all French laws. Then for the first time in history, law was based on reason. I already discussed that. Founded on the notion that all men are equal before law. So equality before law. Oh my God, it is time up. Sorry, I don't want to. That's okay then. We will discuss in the next class. Thank you, online students. I don't know, you are not responding. Maybe because I am taking beyond 9. At least you have the freedom to tell me. We follow French ideals, no problem. Sorry for taking extra time.